The Archive British Steam series of videos is a collection of rare original cine footage of working steam locomotives on British railways in the 1950s and 1960s. The shots cover most areas of Britain and many different types of locomotives, and in most cases follow a chronological order rather than any pattern of location or classes of locomotives. Volume 3 begins at Leamington Spa. Although former GWR territory, Leamington saw many BR Standard and former LMS engines in the 1960s. This is 280 Class 8F number 48339 on a down freight, followed by another member of the same class, number 48674. Electrification of the West Coast Main Line began in Lancashire and was gradually extended south. The wires were already up at Stockport Edgeley when these shots were taken. This is Ivot 262 tank engine number 41204, a former Abergavenny locomotive. And Black 5 number 45131, heading south through the station. Another Ivot 262 tank. These engines were first introduced in 1946. This one, number 41233, had spent much of its working life in North Wales. These 1953 BR-built 260 Class 2 mixed traffic locomotives were based on another Ivot design of 1946. The BR Standard Class 2 260s were slightly heavier than their former LMS counterparts. This is Blavey near Leicester on the former Great Central Line. V2 number 60963 heads an up express. This section of the Great Central between Rugby and Nottingham closed in 1969. Here we see the newly repainted A3 number 4472, the famous Flying Scotsman, on a special train. And 92021, one of the former Crosty-boilered 210s. The line it is crossing is the Nuneaton to Leicester line and is still extant today. At Nuneaton we see former LMS 3-cylinder Jubilee class 460 number 45617, Mauritius. At Birmingham Snow Hill, we see a totally different 460. This is Castle class number 4082, Windsor Castle. This was the locomotive used to haul King George VI's funeral train back in 1952. Still at Snow Hill, this is Lechlade Manor. famous railway historian Pat Whitehouse purchased two former Great Western locos before the end of steam, Clun Castle and this one, Churchwood 262 tank number 4555. Towards the end of their lives, many former express passenger locomotives, like number 7020 Gloucester Castle, were reduced to more mundane freight duties. Still in the Birmingham area, but now on the Midland region, this is Jubilee number 45557, New Brunswick, at Saltley. Also at Saltley, we see sister locomotive number 45721, Impregnable. Back to Snow Hill, and a haul tows two once proud Castle-class locomotives to the scrapyard. The coaches of an Elder Dempster boat train. And track machines like this can still be seen today. Birmingham's other mainline station, New Street, was in the throes of being rebuilt at this time. We move to Gloucester, and this is 060 number 2253, a 1930 Collett designed loco. One of the dinky 042 tank engines, number 1424, which date from 1932. These locomotives were fitted with push-pull facilities. Back to Saltley, and this is Jubilee number 45647, Sturdy. Sturdy was one of the handful of this class which survived into 1967. A former LMS Hughes designed 260 of 1926. These locomotives were affectionately known as crabs. And New Brunswick again. Former LNER locomotives were not too common in Birmingham New Street. This Gresley V2 number 60895 had apparently worked in from its home base of York. The design dates back to 1936, and certainly one engineman was a little unsure of the clearances of his steed in its unusual territory. Pairings like this 262 tank engine with a castle at Snow Hill were also quite an unusual sight. Another BR Standard Class 2 260, number 78003, also at Snow Hill. Still at Snow Hill, a former Midland 060, number 44394, a one-time Mansfield-based locomotive. Across the city at New Street, Pioneer Coronation Class Pacific number 46220 was actually named Coronation. And now we follow former LNWR 7F080 number 48930 on a rail tour. Firstly, we see it at Gravelly Hill. As it passes southbound, this 4F passes north on a freight. We now see it near Aston. And arriving at Stretchford. These 080s were essentially freight locomotives, and although designed in 1912, stood the test of time excellently and were very popular with enginemen. Our last shot of 48930 is leaving Dudley. Snow Hill again. This is Pioneer County Class locomotive number 1000, County of Middlesex. And Stanier Black 5 number 44859, first introduced in 1934. On volume 3, we'll see several shots of King Henry VI. Here it is entering Snow Hill Station. The first station north of Snow Hill was Hockley. This is 7806 on a down train. And 92243 on an up cement train. "3440 City of Truro emerged from Swindon Museum in 1957 to work enthusiast trains. Here it is at Snow Hill. This engine was reputedly the first steam engine ever to exceed 100 miles per hour. Great Western 280 passes City of Truro at Southall. Now behind 344 to Reading, where we see this BR 210 9F numbered 92250, fitted with a Giesel ejector. The last surviving 2301 class locomotive, number 2516, is seen here at Swindon. This class dated from 1883 and was a Dean design. City of Truro again, on Swindon Shed, and King Henry VI. All the King class locomotives were withdrawn from service after the summer timetable of 1962. But 6018 was kept serviceable. In April 1963, she was put back into service to work this final enthusiast special as a tribute to the class. The train worked from Birmingham to Southall via Princess Risborough, then back via Swindon and Oxford. Most Kings at this time looked more like 6011 does here. .6018 on the turntable at Swindon. And again on Swindon Shed. This is County of Hants at Snow Hill. She was a Hawksworth design of 1945. Birmingham New Street, and former LMS Royal Scot class number 46146 was named the Rifle Brigade. The gradient at Camp Hill meant that many trains had to be banked. This is former LMS Black 5 number 45186. Being banked by 3F number 43482. And a 4F060 being banked by a 3F060. At Banbury, we see Castle class locomotive number 5046, Earl Cawdor. And Hall number 5922. The last steam locomotive to be built for British Railways was number 92220, Evening Star. It emerged from Swindon Works in green livery in March 1960, and it's seen here at Oxford. A brief visit to the War Department depot at Bicester. This is 060 saddle tank number 132, the Sapper. The occasion was an LCGB tour. And now a look at York. Two different day trips to the East Coast Main Line station have been condensed into one to produce this cavalcade of trains from the days when steam ruled. Firstly, Gresley A4 Pacific Falcon. A J27060. And note the livery of station pilot number 68736 on our first visit. We'll later see it repainted. Another A4. This is Sir Ralph Wedgwood. And 61457, a 1937 Gresley rebuilt class B16. "44856 was an ex-LMS Black 5 which had strayed from Derby. And yet another A4, number 60026 Miles Beaver, was one of the class members which survived after the end of steam on the East Coast Main Line to see active service again on the Glasgow to Aberdeen service. 61445 was an original unrebuilt B16, built for the North Eastern by Raven in 1920. and Celebrity A4 number 60007, Sir Nigel Gresley. This engine has been preserved. It is one of the few which can be seen out and about in Britain's railways to this day. Ginty number 47554 had been transferred to York from St Albans. Two more Black 5s. And another unrebuilt B16. Only 6 out of the 184 V2s carried names. This is one of them, number 60847, St Peter's School. And another Gresley rebuilt B16. Note the outside valve gear. 61444 was also a rebuilt B16, but it was a Thomson rebuild of 1944 with 3 Volschutz gears. V2 number 60812 spent most of its working life based at Heaton in the northeast. .60854, an engine of the same class, was based at New England Shed near Peterborough. And 61122 was a Thomson B1 dating from 1942. Crabs could also be seen from time to time at York, as could another class of former LMS engine, these 2808Fs. .60070 was an A3 Pacific, the same as the famous Flying Scotsman. Another Black 5, number 45216. This was a Liverpool-based engine. As promised, a look at 68736, the Class J72-060 tank engine in its new livery. .65845 was an original 060 J27 Wursdal design from 1906. And A4 Pacific number 60027 Merlin. The station pilot again. An unrebuilt B16 with a K3. And a last look at 68736. As we leave York, we pass a black 5, A3 number 60077, Ferrybridge Power Station, and Pontefract. This is Jubilee number 45738 near Lee Hall. It was shedded at Bushbury. And former GWR 262 tank engine number 5176 leaving Snow Hill. Jubilee Polyphemus was a regular performer on the Euston-Wolverhampton services. It's seen here leaving Birmingham New Street Station. Unrebuilt Patriot number 45518, Bradshaw, is seen entering the station. It was an Edge Hill locomotive. Another one of the Bushbury Jubilees was number 45737, Atlas. A black 5 leaves Derby for the north. 43306 was an 060 former Johnson Midland locomotive, first introduced in 1885. By contrast, 9F number 92117 was built in the 1950s. Ginty 060 tank engine number 47665 was shedded at Stafford. And another Johnson Midland 3F, number 43605. All these shots were taken at Derby. Back at Saltley, this is BR Standard Class 4, number 76042. And a former War Department Austerity Class 280, number 90647. Former Great Western 062 tank number 6692 is overtaken by a black 5 as it enters Snow Hill Station. And Castle Class number 5056, Earl of Powys. Sadly, no Grange 460s was saved from the cutter's torch. This one, number 6853 Morehampton Grange, was a Tyseley locomotive. .4111 was a Great Western 262 tank engine introduced in 1929. On Volume 2 we saw Britannia number 70020 on both Western Region and Midland Region trains. Here it is again at Birmingham Birmingham New Street. Snow Hill again, and 9F number 92203 is seen on an up freight. This locomotive has been preserved. And 8F number 48749. More shots of New Street Station undergoing extensive rebuilding. Broome Manor at Snow Hill. This is Bysgone, and former LNWR 7F number 49343 hurries by. Followed by 3F number 43812. Four 3812 again. And 49343 again. Bysgone was the last stronghold for these robust freight engines, the last LNWR design to see active service on BR. Bysgone also saw many ex-War Department 280s, which worked freight trains over most lines in Britain. They were allocated as far afield as Scotland and South Wales. Another 7F, number 48964. And yet another, number 49099. A brief shot of City of Glasgow leaving Stetchford. And also at Stetchford, Princess Royal Pacific number 46207, Princess Arthur of Connaught. .46106, the Royal Scot fitted with BR standard smoke deflectors, was withdrawn in December 1962. And 46137 was the last of the class to be rebuilt, as late as March 1955. .44906 was a former LMS Black 5. And another Princess Royal. This one was named Princess Margaret Rose, and is another of the engines which has been preserved. Back at Birmingham New Street Station, this is rebuilt Patriot class number 45525, Colwyn Bay. And now we move to the line side just north of Stafford Station. Firstly, we see Crab number 42894. Followed by Stanier Pacific number 46235, City of Birmingham. an unidentified Coronation Pacific, and a pair of Jubilees. Note the smaller Fowler tender on the pilot engine. At Stafford Station we see LMS 0604F number 44542. Another Jubilee, and Ginty number 47649. Royal Scot number 46138. Originally this locomotive was named Fury. (46131), the Royal Warwickshire Regiment, was in the first batch of Royal Scot withdrawals back in October 1962. And 46167 was rebuilt and renumbered in December 1948. Finally at Stafford we see Black 5 number 45060. On to the eastern region now. This is Sheffield Victoria, although the first engine we see is a Stanier 264 tank. 64445 was a Class J11. And 62670 was a former Great Central Director. 64445 again. This locomotive was a Robinson design dating back to 1901. Behind 62670 to Kiverton Bridge, where we see K3 number 61974. Back at Snow Hill again, and this is former GWR 262 tank engine number 5167. This is Derby Open Day, and 92139 is seen being moved with the preserved Midland Compound 440 number 1000. Engine number 71,000, Duke of Gloucester, at Crewe. This was the last passenger express locomotive to be built in Britain. Here it is again at Birmingham New Street. It owes its existence in part to the tragic accident at Harrow in 1952, when Pacific number 46202 was wrecked. 71,000's building was sanctioned when it was decided that 46202 was damaged beyond repair. Here it is again, under siege, at Derby Open Day. 47006, also at Derby. This engine was also built in the 1950s. Duke of Gloucester has been preserved. Here it is again, leaving Stetchford. South of Rugby was the signal box at Hill Morton, where both the direct line to London and the line via Northampton could be seen. This is Black 5 number 45191, heading south. A BR Standard Class 5 on the Northampton line. Another Standard Class 5. This one, number 73137, was fitted with the same type of valve gear as Duke of Gloucester, Caprotti valve gear. It was on a parcels train to Marylebone. On Volume 1, we paid a visit to Muscombe Troughs on the East Coast Main Line. We revisit Muscombe and see A1 number 60126 on a Down Express. Last time at Muscombe we saw Wild Swan. Here it is again. .60156 was one of the 4 Class A1s which were fitted with roller bearings. It's seen here on an up motor rail train. A little south of Muscombe, this is V2 number 60852. Double-chimneyed Black 5 number 44765 was waiting to return to the south coast from Coventry with this cathedral special. Another Black 5 at Coventry. This was the 1801 working to Rugby. A third Black 5 at Coventry. Number 44715 spent most of its working life shedded at Rugby. Highdyke was south of Grantham on the East Coast Main Line. It was where the ore trains joined the main line, and this one was behind 3-cylinder 280-02 class number 63968. Coventry Station again, and this northbound express was appropriately hauled by 46240, City of Coventry. A BR Standard Class 4 locomotive. This 1938 built Collet 280 with a side window cab was a rebuild of a former Churchwood design. It's seen at Oxford. Also at Oxford was Flying Scotsman on a southbound special train. Complete with the Devon Bell observation car. A few miles south of Oxford was Didcot. This is a castle on the avoiding line. Volume 3 has been a little thin on the ground for ex-Southern Region locomotives. However, here is one. It's a rebuilt West Country class. Still at Didcot, two 1928 built halls, numbers 4908 and 4910, and another passes heading south. This one is a modified hall of 1944. A Class 96 pannier tank. A castle with a single chimney. And another pannier tank passes this castle with a double chimney. Another Collet 280. Flying Scotsman returned north via Leamington and Warwick. It is seen here passing Budbrook. We end Volume 3 at Banbury. This is Castle Class 460 locomotive number 5063, Earl Baldwin, on an up express. Followed by Surrey Castle on a non-stop train. 42176, a Fairburn 264 tank engine, had arrived from Woodford House on the Great Central. And finally, this is Powys Castle on a down train.